Hello, the internet. Today, let us discuss harassing fire. What is harassing fire? You may be asking yourself. Well, you're in good luck because I'm going to define it for you. Harassing fire is a guerrilla warfare tactic used by a weaker, occupied people, traditionally speaking. Um, what it actually is shooting at further than the standard max effective range at the enemy, and then rapidly maneuvering from that position and egressing before the enemy is able to maneuver on you or mass fires on you with artillery or aircraft. Okay. The goal of harassing fire is to disrupt the daily activities of the occupying force, to affect the enemy's morale and mental state, right? Sucks to get shot at every day, everywhere you go, whenever you try and do something. Every time you try and drive your supply car somewhere, you get shot at. Every time you try and take a shit, you get shot at. Even if the chance of you getting hit by that, getting shot at, is low, it still sucks that it's happening all the time. All right, and ultimately you want to win the war of economic attrition, right? It's not about actually winning any particular fight or ever dominating the enemy or ever enforcing your will in any particular fight on the enemy, but it's about continuing to fight the enemy and making him spend money to fight you for longer than he's willing to do it. And ultimately, once he's tired of fighting you, he leaves, and you have thus won the war without ever having to win a single fight or a single battle within that war. All right. So, the distances that we're engaging at for harassing fire is at a minimum over 300 yards, ideally further than 500 yards. Okay, and if you're able to select your weapon system to better support the fact that you're shooting at 600 to 900 yards away, then awesome. If not, it's okay. You can just volley fire that shit. Again, it's not about actually hitting anybody or actually winning any fights. It's about harassing and annoying the enemy and disrupting them and making them spend money, right? Their gear gets damaged. They have to, they're trying to drive supplies somewhere, but they can't because they got shot at, so they had to reroute. So then they had to airdrop supplies, and that cost them more money. Blah 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 blah. Right? Winning the war of attrition of economy. All right. How we execute harassing fire. First and foremost, we want to properly select our target and location. Right. So we want to shoot at not the infantry. We want to shoot at the supply lines, ideally, right? The supply guys. Not only are the supply guys going to be easier to fight if we actually do have to fight them on some level, but they are going to be a more effective target for us to affect in the war of economic attrition, right? I don't want to shoot at grunts that aren't carrying anything other than ammo and water and that expect to get shot at. I want to shoot at supply guys that are carrying all of the food or all of the fuel, and then they can't get that food or fuel where it needs to go, and they aren't so good at fighting back. I'm going to pick a location, right? Standard ambush theory, standard ambush theory goes into this when you're selecting your location. Pick a location that you're able to isolate, like a bend in the road, that offers you good cover and concealment from your firing position and gives you a good line of egress if you need to do that, which with harassing fires, we most definitely will need to be egressing. So find a location that best supports all those things. All right. Your movement from your safe house to the target needs to be masked, right? We need to not be patrolling, right? We're not going to be patrolling in a tactical formation in full chemis with an assault pack on. We're going to be looking like a normal person as much as we can and taking the subway or driving our personal vehicle or just walking onto the objective, right? If multiple people are going to do this harassing fire, we need to take ideally multiple routes to get there. If we're going to a same target location more than once, we need to take different routes to that target location, and we need to go to that target location at different times if we're able to do that and still accomplish our mission. All right? So make it hard for people to follow you. Make it hard for people to follow you. All right? Once we're in position, we're going to conduct our harassing fire. We're going to fire upon the enemy just enough and long enough to see that we're having some effect on them. They've halted, they've dismounted, they've whatever. They're trying to figure out where we're at. And then as soon as it looks like they're getting any kind of their shit together at all, we just leave. Time to get up out of here and go home. All right? The initial egress from our harassing firing position is going to be rather rapid, right? So initially we're going to want to quickly get the fuck out of where we just shot at them from, because for all we know, a JDAM is about to go off any fucking second. So we gotta like sprint 500 yards the fuck out of there. Once we've made that initial movement, we're going to want to transition from our tactical look to a civilian look, right? Whether we're stashing our weapons, whether we're passing our weapons off, or whether we're concealing our weapons, we're going to do that. We're going to move back to the safe house, right? We're going to take another route, a different route than how we took. If we're multiple people, we're going to split up and go different directions. If we have the ability to go to a different safe house than we came from, we will. If it's multiple people and we have the ability to go to different safe houses, we will, right? Again, make it as hard as they can for them to follow us. Before we get to our safe house, we're going to make a couple stops, right? Stop and get a cup of coffee. Stop at the corner store. Stop and shop at Walmart. Stop and walk at the park. Identify if somebody's following you before you go back to the safe house. If we stashed our weapons, we will need to collect them. So we'll need to return to where we stashed our weapons at another time and collect them, or have somebody who's not a military-aged male do that for us. Even better. And lastly, if it's applicable to our cause, which it probably would be, we would want to think about recording this and using it as recruitment videos, which is a very popular thing that's been done. So I'm not the first person to think about that. It's just something that maybe you should also think about. So that's harassing fire. That's what harassing fire is. Harassing fire has been used to great effect, especially during the global war on terrorism. It was the terrorizers' favorite method, right? They would pair IEDs with harassing fire. I think Vietnam, harassing fire wasn't popular because it was in the jungle. So it was more like near ambushes and booby traps was the weaker forces' strategy to inflict casualties. But it's the same concept. They just didn't have the line of sight to have harassing fire. There you go. That's harassing fire, boys and girls. Stay frosty.